Hello and welcome to another of my tutor session. So in this session I will take a look at this follow-up homework from David Kivas. So this is his first artwork, and then this is the second artwork that he did after seeing my first tutor session. As you can see, this looks like anime, just like what he wanted, so this is quite good. And in this session I want to talk about coloring. So they already learned about changing the proportion and the shape into more animal-like. So in this session I want to talk about coloring. So there's some point that I will talk about. The first thing is being in coloring. The thing to take notes is the color palette. And then the second one is the hard or soft. And then after that, it's just polishing and techniques. Okay, so this is what I'm gonna talk about. So let's jump right to it. First thing, I want to talk about color palette. So what does this color palette mean? For example, in this skin color, usually the easiest way to get the darker shade is to just slide this brightness slider down, so we get this darker color, and we can use it as our shading. But as you may notice, the color seems a little bit muddy, dirty, so it doesn't radiate like the skin. If you take a look at here, some shade doesn't looks like dark, looking like here. It looks a bit reddish because below our skin there is blood everywhere, and our skin is quite thin, so the blood color shows up in the shadows. So the best way to get color shading for the skin is to slide over here. So as you can see, I'm sliding the brightness down, but I'm also adding the saturation so it won't look muddy. And then we could also slide the color hue to the red, see, to the reddish color. So we will have this kind of color. I want to tweak it a little bit to make it look better. Okay, looks better. So if we use this one, this will look healthier. Let's compare it to just see. This one looks a little bit healthier. This one looks muddier. So we're gonna use this color as our shading color. You can also learn to get color palette by picking colors from artwork that you like. So for example, I want to pick color from here, and then I want to pick the shading color here, and then we're just gonna put it in our color palette here. Every software app has it. So this is my color palette. I usually use this as the base one, and then this is the shade, this is the second shade, but this color only works for lighter skin tone. So I assume that this character has a darker color, so I'm not gonna use this color. I'm just gonna use this one. So let's put this and this, so we won't forget. Okay, so this is the color palette. But if you want to create shades for something that is not shiny, for example like this, we could just create a layer above it, set it to multiply, and then we add some grayish color, and then we just shade it. Because they don't have color underneath it, just like the skin, so we have to make the skin more shinier, not shinier, more healthier. But on the other thing, I just use this grayish color, for example this, and here, and then maybe the accessories later. But for the skin, I usually pick another color. So that's for the basic color palette. I would suggest you to collect a lot of artwork that you like, that you have the color that you like, and then pick the color from it. Okay, that's the basic. And then the second one is about the hard shade and the soft shade. I have this shape here. So, as you might see in my hand here, there's this soft shade. So the shade is a bit blurry. And then there's this hard shade, which create lines. We have to calculate where we're gonna use the soft shade or the hard shade. So usually the soft shade is when we have something like this ball, which has smooth texture, and then this looks, we're just gonna create something like here. So this is the soft shade. This is good for organic shapes. And for the hard shade, it is usually because the light is blocked by some kind of object. So in here we can see that this will have soft shade, but when the light comes from here, this shape will block the color, the light, so it would cast the shadow here, and it becomes the hard shade. Okay, something like that. So we can use this hard shade for things like creases, folds, and then maybe have something like this. So maybe we have a uniform, we can put dark shades, hard shade around there, and then below the neck usually, because the head is blocking the light. So we're gonna use that in the coloring session later. How can we create a hard or soft shade? The easiest way is to change your brush. The hard shade using the hard brush, the hard shade using the hard brush, and then the soft shade you can use the soft brush. Oops, too big. Okay, but you can also use the hard shade to do both. So this is the hard shade, and then for the soft shade we can just blur it. Maybe use smudge in Photoshop. Okay, so choose whatever method you like. Okay, then let's try to color this. I'm just gonna hide this, and then we're gonna start with this. It will be easier if you have a lighting reference. So for example, I want to make the light comes from here. Okay. First I'm gonna pick this shade color, and then I'm gonna start with this. So this is the easy one. We can assume that the hand looks like a cylinder. Okay. So by cylinder, the easiest way is to create soft shade around the edges, like this. So you can see we can implement it to our character here. So I'm just gonna make a simple color here. Maybe it's like this. Then I'm just gonna blur, smudge, like that. Okay. You can also use soft brush, just like what I said before. For example, I'm just gonna use soft brush for her leg. You can see I'm adding things softly. You may not see the difference right away. Okay, so because this is so soft, you may not see the difference, but when I turn it off, you can see that it gives some kind of depth. We can also add more color later, more shade, the second layer of shade to emphasize the form. But for now, let's make it small. Okay, that's gonna do. And then I'm just gonna start adding the hard one. So below the neck, it will be the hard shade because it is blocked by the head. And then, since the color comes from here, this nose bone will block the light. This here is the contour of the skulls, so it usually is extruding a little bit so light can come in. I would suggest you to take a look of various character illustration to see where the light, the shadow is being put. I'm just gonna show you what I usually do. And then the nose, below the nose here. Okay. Then here, below the eye, and in the eye socket here. I'm gonna use this here. So you have to learn where the shadows are going to go. Okay. And then we can add the second layer of the shade. So I usually use 2 steps of shade. This is the second step. I am using it to emphasize some forms for example this here, then I want to give more shade here. See? Then below here, this will be a little bit darker. And then here. You can try to experiment with the darker color here. So you can try which one is the best place to put. And then we can also add here on the side, so we could get more clear shape. Oops. Just like that. So we create the shape is more visible. See? So two-step, two color is sufficient to create this illusion. I can also add the second color here, oops, to show that this is darker, since the nose is blocking, so there is a lot more shadow here. Also, there's this thing called the color, the light bones. So when we do, for example, like this, and then we do the, oh, see here? You can see that there's some light bouncing off from here to here or from here to here. So if we suggest that the color, the light comes from here and then bounces here, so it will affect the color around. So we can also add something like, I rarely do this, but you can also add something like this, but with softer color, so it will blend, but this will makes this one look shinier. So if the material, the shirt material is not something shiny, you don't have to do that, but this is good if you want to do something like this, for example. If you want to make it, what is the color of the orb? Green. You want to make it a bit shiny, so you can add this color around, right? And then maybe here to show that it emits a lot of light and then it shines around. See, it's like that. Okay, we're just gonna delete this for now. And then, after we've done with the second layer shade, we could add a highlight. You can use normal layer or you can use overlay. You can try some variants of layer blending and experiment yourself which one is better for you. I usually use overlay, and then I pick a bright yellow color and then just add some shade. For example here, because the bone here is a little bit extruding, our cheekbones will bounce more light because it is a bit extruding. So this lower, and then for example we can add it here. And maybe since the light is coming from there, here a little bit. Again, to know where we should put the light and the shadow, it is better if you could learn from references from photos like this and this, and then in here the easiest way is to just emphasize the form, the cylinder form, by adding this highlight in the middle. See? We can also use soft brush. Smudge it. Smudge. To make it even shinier, you can also add some little bit of glint here. You may notice this in a lot of artwork. So this is just to make it feel more shiny. So that's the overlay. I also like to use soft brush, and then I go around the face to make it a bit more brighter. But then I also usually like to reduce the opacity to make it less dominant. So easy like that. And then the one thing that I like to do, but maybe some people doesn't like, is to overuse the rim light. The rim light is the light on the edges of the thing. So for example, I'm gonna add rim light here because it will emphasize the shapes of the face, but as you can see, the lights come from here, so it shouldn't have this. But let's just assume that there is some light here too. This is like kind of cheating, so I like to just put it everywhere. And some digital painter doesn't like some overused rim light, so please don't call me on this. Don't let them know. For example, I'll add here too. Yeah, nice. This is very good to emphasize your lines, your shapes, but just like I said before, not all the people like to use this. For example, I'm gonna add this to make it higher here, and we can add just like this to show the lines of the clothes. See, like here. But we have to calculate, we have to see that it is still logical to put the color, the rim light. For example, if I'm putting the rim light here, it is less believable because the light should be blocked already by object here, and then when I put it here, this is not logical since the hair up here should block this light. We can use here since there's nothing blocking it, but we cannot use it here because it will be blocked by the object around here. So if you want to create the rim light there, start from here. Yes, because the light comes from here, and this is the only places that will be shaded. So we can use this rim light bonanza everywhere. Just gonna add it everywhere. I won't go to here because I want to keep the focus up here. So by giving rim light, you are also giving focus to the artwork. Here, you can use it here. Or hair, you can use it here. You can use a lot more light for the hair because the hair is silky, and I'm just gonna turn it on. Something like here, here, here. So as you can see, the color is not that believable. I'm just gonna use overlay usually. So I'm just gonna make it brighter. So as you can see, this feels a little bit like my artwork. And then we can continue by doing this to the other places, such as I'm just gonna start to color the clothes. So just like I said before, other than the skin, I just usually create a new layer, create a multiply, and then I'm just gonna shade it with my soft gray color. Here, since the breast is extruding and the breast is an organic shape, so we'll want to make it soft shade. Okay, and then this is blocked by the hair, so I'm just gonna color here, block here. You can also continue this, and then gonna add here. I'm just gonna add it. The simple one is just to make it just like the cylinder, soft on the edges. Right? Easy. So if you're in doubt, just make it softer on the edges. Assume that it is a cylinder, and then you can, oops, you can also do it here. See, you can also add a second shade. So I'm gonna use darker color here to create the second shade. So I would suggest that you use at least 2 color shade to make the depth feels more real. Here and here should be darker. Okay, and then as usual, add new layer, overlay. Oh, I can use overlay, and then I'm just gonna use soft brush since this shape here is soft. For example, just like here. And you can use soft color, bright color here. since this is purple, I will pick some purple fresh color to make it more blended. And then we can also see this is a crook cylinder. We can also add some cylinder shaped overlay, and then in the final touch we can add some glint if you want to. If you don't, it's okay. And then there's this highlight also. We can emphasize the lines here. Oh, sorry, this should be a color, right? Okay, don't mind. So this is the simplest way for me to color. Eye color. Here, so you can see. We can also play with the mood. So maybe, oh, I want it to be in the morning sun, or maybe in the sunny day. We can create a layer on top of it all, and then we can use, I usually use add in this, but Photoshop doesn't have add, so maybe you can use luminosity or maybe hard light. I like to just usually use add, and then I pick the color that I want. For example, I want to be like the bright morning blue, and just we need a dark color. So I just like that. It feels more bluish. For example, I want to make the color a bit blue here, or maybe we can add blue on the bottom, so it feels like there's this soft blue, but we're gonna use this yellow, so maybe you can feel that there's some variant. So the sunshine maybe come from this, but maybe you have water below it, so the shade becomes a little more blue. You can also use hard light for this. Oops. I would suggest use something like add color. Doesn't look so good. You can try one by one and see which one fits for you, but I just usually use add for this kind of thing. And you can also adjust this for the mood. Also, small tips, I usually like to color my lines not black. For example, just a very dark brown. Oops. Maybe like here. Yeah. Because it will receive the overlay color better than black. Because black is we don't have a real black, solid black color in the real world except for Fanta Black. So usually the normal scene in our life, we don't have those solid black. So it was I would suggest that you use something that's similar to black, but not that black, not this black, but maybe around here. You can choose some theme that you like. Maybe you want it a bit more bluish. You can use that. But do not use full black. It will be too contrast. So this. This is the simplest thing that I just usually do. So I will put this setup later on the Patreon page, and I hope you, David Cubas, please complete all the colors here, and then put the leg and everything, and then polish it, and you can send me your finished artwork. I would suggest that you create a new artwork other than this, because this already have a lot of tweak in it. I would like to see a new artwork from you using this character, this face, and then this coloring style. I hope you can do another artwork, but if you want to finish this one, it's okay too. So you can send me 2 artwork. Maybe you want to finish this, and then you want to do another artwork. Or you want to just leave this alone and you want to create another new artwork. It's up to you. So I don't know if this is quite explanatory, but I hope that you learned something from this session. Thank you for watching, and see you again in the next session. Goodbye.